we are going to review active and passive voice. Active and passive voice is very confusing, so I just put a couple sentences together so that we can understand. Active and passive voice takes the transitive verb. Active can take the transitive or intransitive verb. Passive can only take a transitive verb. I transplant the Rebecca in my yard. Let's talk about what are your...
You're doing the transplanting.
Okay, so now let's look at this. We have the subject, your verb, and your direct object. Now, this is a transitive verb right here. Because the transplant is happening to the Rebecca. You can only have passive voice with the transitive verb. The reason why is because you are taking this word. You're taking your direct object. You're taking your direct object and you are making that and turning it into your subject. So you're going to take that. It's going to be your subject. Now your subject has now become, either we're going to eliminate it altogether if it sounds good, or we're going to put it in a prepositional phrase that is following. Now remember, you need to use your be verbs to be able to put it in passive voice. Okay, so now look at this. So we're going to take our direct object and we're going to put it in passive voice. And remember, look, who's doing in active voice? The subject is doing the transplant, right? The subject is doing the transplanting. Passive voice is the subject is receiving the transplanting. That's the reason why. See right here, your direct object is receiving the transplanting. So that's what the subject is doing. So that's what passive voice is. You're taking that direct object and moving it to your subject. So what's our subject? What could have our subject been? Because I decided to leave it out. What could you put? By me. By me. I thought it sounded better to leave it out. So it's completely fine to leave it out in your passive voice if it doesn't sound good. This is a transitive verb because look at that. That's your direct object. You're still using it. It's sitting as a transitive verb. The daughter-in-law made me these crocheted flowers. Now look how beautiful these are. She made them for me for Mother's Day. Anyways, I thought they were lovely. This is a transitive verb. That's a transitive verb. Now, what's our subject? So, daughter-in-law. What's your verb?
Made.
Made. Paul, what's your direct object?
Flowers.
Yes. So, there's your direct object. See, look. This says, I'm a transitive verb because you have this direct object. What's being made? The flowers are being made. Do you see that? So it's transferring this over to flowers. What are we going to do to make this sentence? What are we going to do to make this in passive voice? Take our direct object, right? And we're going to put it as the subject. I took this whole thing because they belong together. These crocheted flowers, now look at this, crocheted, E-T, this is a French word, and this E-T is saying A, saying the long A sound. So you're gonna have words like that. These crocheted flowers, now look, we're using our auxiliary verb. They were made, right? And here I decided it sounded good because I wanted everybody to know that my daughter-in-law made them. Now we're using a prepositional phrase for the subject. And it's moving right here as a preposition, and then I have, and they were given to me. And there is, what's this right here? Me. Indirect object. Good, Dan. So this is an indirect object and they were given to me. That's how you would do your active and passive voice. Now remember, this is a transitive verb right here. It's transferring it over to the flowers, right? What were being made? The flowers were, the crocheted flowers, the flowers were being made.
But doesn't transitive have a direct object?
But the direct object is the subject. That's the whole point I want you to make. Remember, this is a passive sentence. So no matter what, the direct object in a passive voice sentence is your subject. And that's the reason why passive voice can only be a transitive verb. Our direct object, they are our phone. What can active voice be? Transitive or intransitive? Active voice can be transitive and intransitive. Passive voice can only be transitive. And transitive verbs, remember, they take direct objects. And the direct object is sitting in your passive voice as the subject, and it's receiving. It's receiving the action. It's receiving the action. All right, everybody, I hope that was a great review to help you understand active and passive voice. We'll see you in the next lesson. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching, everybody.